Okay, in the previous video we discussed the who. Who are we reaching for? And Jesus said, I will make you fishers of men. I will show you how to fish. So I think every church and every pastor really should sit down together and not just talk about strategy, but talk about who has God called you to reach as a church. Because different types of churches need to reach different types of people. Who has God called you as a church, you as a pastor, to reach? Now, once you get that question as to who God has called you to reach, then you begin to ask, what do they think like? What are the fish thinking? What are they going through? What are their concerns? What are their fears and perhaps even their failures and concerns? As you understand deeply your fish, the people you're looking for, the community you're trying to reach, you move deeper into seeing things their way. Are you with me? Seeing things their way. Now, think about it. When I think about fears and I think about my community, what are reasons why people will not come to church? What are some of the normal fears that they might have regarding coming to church? Number one is the sermons and the big long talk isn't understandable because some of the language we use is just so difficult and so Christian or so biblical or so much jargon in there. So are our sermons, our preaching, is it just a lot of yelling and screaming, or is it just a lot of emotion, or is it just a lot of jargon and language that unbelievers do not understand? So if we were to invite unbelievers, if we were to invite people who don't know Jesus but need Jesus and are interested in Him, if we were to invite them into our community, into our front room, into our lounge, then how would we speak in a way that everyone understands what we're saying? You see what I'm saying? So we want to rethink the way we preach. That's one of the reasons. They come to church but they don't understand. It's not relevant. It's not understandable, comprehensible. Another question that I have had to face so many times is, why are church people so judgmental? The one place where you should feel acceptance, you should feel the grace of God, but there is this sense of, we are going to heaven and you're not, and if you don't repent, you won't. Now, deep down at the bottom there might be some truth there, but that's not the approach. That's not the sentiment. That's definitely not the mood in which a church should function, if you know what I mean. And one of the biggest reasons people don't come back is just that lofty, haughty sense of condescension or perhaps judgment on unbelievers. We want them to change all their ways, behave like us, sound like us before they can come into our community, be part of us. Do we have a forum in which we are gracious? Do we have a face that is soft towards those who are seeking Christ? I'm not talking about aggressively going and telling everybody about Christ or changing anybody's religion. We're not talking about that. We're talking about being a church that welcomes those who are seeking Christ, right? Those who are looking for Him, those who are looking for forgiveness and for God. So are we a church that is judgmental? There's another big situation, is we're not trying to convert anybody. We're not trying to change people's religion. So oftentimes people don't want to come to church because there's then the assumption that either they are interested or that they have now changed their religion. That is not the case. And it depends on your situation, depends on which country and culture you are in. But when you're thinking about what are the fears and the concerns about people, if that is one of them, coming to church is a fear itself, and that it means more than it actually is, then we need to step out and we need to go to them. We need to show that we care. Jesus never called anybody to one place. He always woke up in the morning, he put on his tunic, he got out there every day. He walked about and he was with the people. So we are not out to convert anybody. Another fear that people have is that when we talk about Jesus or faith in Christ, it is an outside religion, you see. So you're thinking through, what are the fears, what are the concerns, how do unbelievers think about Christ? And you're beginning to help them understand or have a correct understanding about Jesus, removing doubts, removing misconceptions, removing thoughts about Christ that are not true, and perhaps just using His own words to kind of seal the deal. Many people think it's an outside faith, and we need to rectify that as well. These are some reasons. I'm just giving you examples, but for a lot of your situations, you need to look at your own fish, so to speak, and see what are they worried about, what are they fearful. So I gave you number one. One was, who are we looking for? Who are we looking for? The second thing is, how do they think? I just also want to go to where the fish are. Number three is, go where the fish are. Again, like I said, Jesus always got up in the morning and he went about. He went about doing miracles, healing, preaching. He would gather people together in different places, marketplaces, regular places, where people normally gathered, on the streets, on the shore of Galilee. Being a fishing town, that's where the crowds normally hung out, so he went to them. Are we a people that call people to our church? Will we call everyone to our assembly, call everyone to our gathering? Or are we those who go out? You say, well, throughout the week everybody's going out into the community. No. I'm not talking about door knocking. I'm not talking about, tract distribution. I'm talking about going where they are. Going where they are, understanding them and being part of their life, their functions, their community, their situation, so that you get a feel of what the needs are. Earn their trust. Jesus went out. In Luke chapter 10 verse 8, he even says, when you enter a town and are welcomed, eat what is set before you. Be part of the culture, be part of the hospitality there. So whenever Jesus saw an opportunity, he just went out. He didn't have one standard approach and say, this is how, almost as part of the salvation plan, this is how you come to heaven. He didn't do that, right? Now when you come back to the church side of things, believers, pastoral teams, ministries, we need to tweak our programs to think and act in favor of those who are seeking Christ. We cannot just have a standardized program and expect people to show an interest and come and get with the program. Our programs, our ministries must be flexible so that we are actually reaching other people for Christ based on their perspectives, based on their needs. The best way, and write this down if you can, the best way to reach people, the best way to reach your community is not with a message, but with a need met. Not with a message, but with a met need. Anyone can be won to Christ if you discover the key to their heart. And the key to their heart is a felt need. People have needs. People all around us have needs. And Jesus went about 5 ways he went about serving those needs. And then when he gave the gospel, people believed in him because he had done something for them. So the secret to success is meeting needs. The secret to success is meeting needs. Our church will never grow beyond our capacity to meet needs. Let me give you 2 ways that we meet needs. 2 areas of needs. Number 1 is emotional needs, and number 2 is relational needs. Number 1 is emotional needs, and number 2 is relational needs. No matter where you go, whatever culture, whatever language, whichever country, whichever part of the globe you go, people have these 2 areas of needs. They have emotional needs. They need to be wanted. They need to be, satisfied. They need to be happy. They need to be included. They need to be affirmed. Okay, and then you've got, and there's a whole lot of more we can cover later. And then there's the relational needs. Whom you belong to, what community are you part of? It all goes back to identity. So the mindset of the unbelievers, how they think, how they fear, how they meet their concerns or overcome their own doubts and things like that, that becomes our strategy. That's how we begin to think. Okay, so the culture of the unbelievers, it determines our strategy, it determines our style, it determines what we're trying to do. Let me end with this in this video. As we think about unbelievers and we think about their felt needs, we're going to find that the best people to give our attention and energy to are those who are receptive. Pouring your energy over everyone, answering everyone's questions, going all over the place and trying to reach scope rather than need is going to just run out. We're going to run out of funds, run out of energy, run out of time. But as we look for people who are actually receptive, they are needy, they want, they are hungry, that's when you are really going to be effective. So number 4 is find the fish that are hungry. Find the fish that are hungry. How do you know when fish are hungry? How do you know who to reach? Growing churches, effective churches always go after receptive people. Non-growing churches, ineffective churches, they go after inactive people. They try to recruit inactive people. That's a mistake I have made for many years, and wasted a lot of time and energy trying to recruit inactive people. But growing churches go after people who are receptive. How do we know people are receptive? There's a certain time when fish want to eat. There's a certain time when fish will come in your direction. Number 1 is the times of transition, and number 2 is times of tension. Times of transition and times of tension. Times of pain and times of change. Whenever something is changing in their life, they're changing jobs, changing relationships, changing cities, when they're changing cultures, whenever they're moving, during those times people are a little bit more open. They're not as rigid, they're not as secure in a sense. Another one is times of tension, when there's stress, health stress, financial stress, whenever there's times of pain, and we're going through difficult periods, valley experiences. Those are times. Are we being manipulative here? No, we're just saying that the heart is softer during times of change and times of pain. So people are receptive at a particular time. And when receptive to what? Receptive to getting their needs met. Receptive to help. Most people don't want help most of the time, right? But sometimes people are willing to accept your help, and that time is the receptivity time, and that's what we're talking about. So we look for that time, we wait for that time, we study that time, and then we spend our energy on those who are actually going to be receptive to the gospel. Think about that, and let me know if you have any questions. We'd love to answer and think with you about how to be a healthy church and how to give our attention and energy and investment where it really will succeed, where it matters.